Hi, this is Dave Bazar, and this is the latest. I'm here with Conrad De La Torre.
Hello, Dave.
Vato Loco is what
Vato Loco is what they call me.
So we're standing by one of our fields, one-year-old block that we're pretty proud of. You can see that growth in the background. I'm sure we'll cut little pieces of it. But Conrad's here to talk a little bit about establishing that baby tree again. And particularly, what are you going to talk to us about, Conrad?
Compost and soil amendments added into that berm site.
And compost, I know people always think of as just, oh, it's soft, it's one with the world, it's
really
product.
Good for the ground and the low nitrogen, and it's not going to be a problem. Well, it is.
Yeah.
These little babies that you're putting into the ground, they don't require much, just water. Mm-hmm. And so all we need to do is just set them in. Any other fertilizers or any form of nitrogen in there will just burn these trees up and suffocate them and just kills them.
And we should say you like compost, right?
Oh, sure. I've added compost in my stuff before.
And we like compost too. I think it's just, I'm trying to get across that point that it's what you think is very mild for a little bitty baby. It's tough.
It's tough, very tough.
Run us by what you're seeing on how people get into trouble with it.
Well, they want to put in a layer, so they'll spread the compost right before they lift the berm. And I mean, I recommend you disc it up 2 or 3 times until it basically disappears. If you don't do that, then when you lift your berm, you end up having these blogs or clogs of compost in that root zone, and all you need is one of the root zones to be in one of those, and that's all it takes for it to start rotting, and that tree will just not develop.
So again, you've got guys who they haven't put their berm up, they've spread something.
Right.
Compost is what we're talking about here, could be fertilizer. Then they're taking it and concentrating it back into the berm. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes, so they come in with a disc and just disc it up and lift the berms. Well, all that concentration of compost ends up on the berm. So if you don't check that berm site where you're gonna put this tree in, and you have a lot of compost in that area where you're gonna plant the root system, and you need to check it and make sure you don't see this compost at all.
With a shovel.
Open it up, make sure there's no compost there that you can see. If it's all mixed up in the soil, that's great. It's the big chunks of compost that I see that get us in trouble.
I know you went out, and let's take a look at a little video that you made. Let me just get it here on my screen. And I know you can talk us through what you've seen there. I'm going to go with this first one.
Well, here's one. This is the one with the red flag that the grower reported to me that he had a really high percentage of Butte Padre block that didn't turn out, and he was struggling with it. So here's a normal tree that you can see there. It's beautiful. All his trees look great. But then he has some trees in the field that look like this.
So that's stunted.
And stunted, you can tell the tree doesn't like where it's at, so I dig under there with a shovel, and sure enough, there's compost all over that area in the root zone. You can see...
You're pointing at the compost right there.
Right, that's the area. And it doesn't look like much, but it doesn't take much for this root system to really not like that. These are little babies, and all they want is a glass of milk. They don't want to eat a hamburger. They can't handle that yet, you know what I mean?
No,
so that's a good way to talk about it, you know?
That's a great example of that now. Okay, now Conrad, you had another case, was a little bit different than the guy berming it up, right?
Yes.
So why don't you talk us through this video, okay? What did you have here?
This is a video of a grower that actually piled up his compost in the field. Then he went out and spread it all throughout the field. This is 180 acres, 160 acres that was. And in these areas where you had all the concentration of the compost, you can obviously see that it was lifted on the berm. So you can even see the compost tea with the water just kind of, coloring up that berm. These trees cannot tolerate that. Here you have a tree that's struggling. You keep looking at it, you just see it by looking at the color of the berm. That tree just, no way, it didn't make it. And this is an area of about an acre or 2 where the majority of the compost was put in. So that's just a lack of blending. That tree is really struggling where it's at. Here's another tree that did not make it at all. And then once you kind of get out of that zone, then the trees look perfectly fine.
Yeah, I see what you
mean. If you look at the watering and everything from the hoses, you can really see that there's no discoloring on that berm. So Things are normal. So it goes to prove that that concentration cannot be the greatest.
And so that guy there should have done his compost work, then special care to disc and disc and disc.
You got to disc
that
it,
area.
yeah, disc it, move it out of the way. It suffocates the soil. There's just too much concentration of that, and I see that 90% of my problems are with compost.
Yeah. Okay. We love it, but be careful with it because the baby needs milk, no hamburger.
No hamburgers.
This has been the latest with Dave and Conrad.